Hello and welcome everyone to this week's episode of the podcast. This week we are talking about an amazing new thing that we have coming called the Jewelers Retreat Season 2. So anybody who was with us a couple of years ago will have hopefully seen the Jewelers Retreat Season 1, which was essentially a TV show that we made for jewelers. So if you think the Great British Bake Off, but instead of cakes, jewelry making, that is very much the kind of theme of what we created this show about. So we did a first season 2 years ago, and this summer we had an amazing time filming the second season. So it is 3 episodes across 3 weeks over the festive period, and episode 1 starts this Wednesday. We are very excited for you guys to watch it, and we're going to talk today about the 5 reasons why you're really going to want to watch it and you can't miss it, and what you're going to get out of it as someone who's interested in jewelry making. Because I think, everything aside about why we want you to watch it, we're excited, it was a project we worked on. Actually, I think it has real value, and lots of different layers of value for someone who is starting a jewelry business, growing a jewelry business, working in the field. And we're excited to kind of share it with you guys and your friends and your family. And, anyone can watch it, even though we made it with jewelers in mind. It is accessible for anyone. And to join me in my excitement talking about the show is the wonderful Anna Campbell. Welcome, Anna.
Hi, everyone. Yes, so excited to be talking about this. Finally, after all the months and longer of working on it and filming. So, yay.
Yes, absolutely. It's always like a year-long project, the retreat. But we filmed it in 5 days, and it was a very intense 5 days. And the 3 jewelers on it this year are all from the Advanced Jewelry Diploma, which is our 3rd-year diploma program. So some of them had been with us for a couple of years, some for 1 year, but they were all kind of in the middle or coming towards the end of that program where they're doing advanced techniques. So the kind of pieces that they're making, we're going to be talking about this a bit more, are pretty advanced. So there's lots of stone setting, there's lots of really cool tools in there. And I think that there's going to be something that everyone can learn from watching the shows. So let's start off. We have these 5 reasons why you will regret missing the show. So the first one is all about the process. So if you've ever gone onto Instagram and had a look at those reels where people are showing their process of how they're making things, and it's fascinating. I think this is one of the most exciting things from the show last year, and also 2 years ago. I keep saying last year, it feels like just a year ago, but last time, exactly. Yes, thank you. Is just seeing how some of these incredible pieces are made. So Anna, do you have any thoughts on kind of the process and just seeing something from design stage through to completion in one day, what that might be like for somebody coming to watch?
Yeah, what I think was really good is the jewelers joined us for 3 days, longer than that actually, but 3 very intense days of filming. And they did know in advance the project. So they were given the brief in advance, because what we wanted for them to do is to actually have some time to think about it, some time to do some designing, maybe a little bit of practice. Does this work? Does that work? A little bit of all of that kind of stuff. So they were able to bring their designs. And what I've loved, I've had a sneak peek already. I'm very fortunate to have had a little look at some of the episodes. And what I've loved to see is that process. So they will bring their kind of sketchbook and say, I started off with this is my inspiration, and this is how my design has progressed. And I think that is really exciting to see that full progression through. And then we get to see them making it, and sometimes just logistics wise, a little thing has to change. Oh, okay, maybe I can't quite do it like I've put in this sketch, maybe I need to do it like that. And I just really love, I think anyone who's creative will love to see that kind of taking from the original initial kind of spark of idea all the way through into kind of developing that and sketching it and then making it in metal and gemstones. I'm just in awe of the pieces that they made every single day.
Yeah, Yeah, they are very impressive pieces. I mean, even, last season there were amazing pieces as well. But remember, those students were on the diploma in silver jewelry, which is year one, and these students are from year three. So they were very ambitious at times with their project, but that makes it very exciting to watch. I think I enjoy watching kind of both sides, but it's quite nice to have something a bit different this time. And I think you're right. I think for jewelers watching, it will help spark your own creative process as well, because watching someone go from that design kind of sketches, and for some of the jewelers, they were looking at pictures of things. Some of them got their inspiration from people, from events, and it just really starts to infiltrate and feed into what you like to be inspired by and how you might bring that into your own jewelry making. So I think the design side of it is really interesting. And then in terms of process, whenever I look at a piece of jewelry, I don't know if other jewelers listening are like this. I always try and reverse engineer, like, how was that made? What? And then, and then if I'm interested in making it, I really breaking it down into like what order, was if it's like a ring with a stone setting, like was the setting done first and then the ring, and then how did you slot them together? And so seeing the jewelers go through those processes for all the pieces. And so there were 6 pieces made, because each day there were 9 pieces made, because there are 3 pieces made each day in 3 days. So there's quite a lot of inspiration in there. And I think it's also really nice to see the jewelers' styles come together, because they all had their own styles, didn't they? I know that's something coming up in another one of our points, so maybe we'll save that one for just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, we could move on to style as point number 2.
Let's do it. Let's go crazy.
Because I think I've always, as a teacher myself, and again, you being a teacher too, it's really interesting to see people given the same brief, a jeweler given the same brief, and on the advanced diploma, learning the same techniques, the same stone setting, and all the different techniques that they're learning, and then just taking that in their own direction. I think that's really, really exciting, because each day there was a particular thing we asked them to make. As I said, we gave them a bit of time to think about it in advance and pre-planning, but they all had the same brief, and I just find it so fascinating to see where people kind of have that and then kind of branch off in different directions. And I think, I'm sure, again, if anyone is a creative, or particularly jewelers, but creatives at all, I think we'll find that really interesting too, because it's about, like, what materials do we like working with? What gemstones do we like working with? Is it silver? Is it gold? Do we make big bling statement pieces? Do we do the micro settings? And I just find that so fascinating, and I think the show, every single episode of the show, really, really demonstrates all of that. And that's what I think people will be excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the different styles. And I think, sometimes people say, how do we choose the people for the retreat? And it's not like our favorite people. Obviously, we love them, but we love all the students on the courses. We don't sort of think, oh, who are our favorites? But a lot of it does come down to different styles, and how can we represent the different kind of walks of life which people may come to these kind of programs with, and also just show how versatile jewelry making is, because with the same brief, 3 people will come up with totally different ways of interpreting it. And and each one is unique to themselves, I think. And I know I actually recorded next week's podcast, which you guys will listen to next week, with the jewelers from the retreat before this, so it's kind of back to front. We were having a chat about styles, and some of the jewelers feel a bit like, oh, that person's style is better than mine, or that person's more precise than me, and I think a lot of us can relate to that, the idea that somebody else has got it all sorted and is better in some way just because they're different. And yeah, I think being able to see different styles represented is so important. And the more we can do that to ourselves, the more we expand our kind of point of view as a designer as well. And it weirdly makes us more specific about what we want, which is great because we want to develop our own signature style, and actually absorbing a lot of different styles is a great way to refine exactly what we want.
I think so. I think if we see people, if we're looking at jewelry, I think sometimes people worry about doing that, but I think sometimes we'll see, I really like that. And then you start to think, why do I like that? What is it about this particular thing that I like? Or what is it about this particular style that is a bit cold for me and I don't like it, but of course other people will. So I think the more that we get a chance to kind of, and this is what I love about the show, is that we can kind of get behind that and see, like, where has this come from and how has this developed. And everyone is always still learning, and these jewelers are no different. So it's, how is that going to continue to develop? It's really exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've covered two already. So we covered to looking at the process, the techniques, kind of all the technical side of it. And we talked about different styles. So number 3, which I think everyone's going to be very excited about, especially people who listen to this podcast, are the tools. So there are lots and lots of tools. And again, the jewelers had such different approaches when it came to their tool uses. Some of the jewelers on the show had all the tools, and others worked with more basic tools. And it just shows, like, it's just quite fun to have a look at how different people operate and how different people work with their jewelry making. So Tressa, for example,
I was just about to say, well,
you brought a lot, which was great.
It's like unloading the car of boxes and boxes and boxes of really exciting. Each time we're like, oh, what's in there? That was exciting to see, and I think that is true. I think if you're working from home yourself, and you start with your basic toolkit, which of course we can do when we're doing silver and gold work, but it is lovely to get the chance to kind of have a little look at the kinds of tools that other people might be using. And so yes, I definitely think there's going to be, each episode has got something in that people will go, oh, I've not seen that before, or oh, I've not seen that used in that way. So I think that's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, seeing how they're being used, because sometimes we see a tool and think that looks really interesting, but unless we've seen it in action, it can be very difficult to know what these tools are for, what their real benefit is, or how to use them. So I think it's quite nice to see the jewelers working, with the toolkit that they usually use, and what's working for them. And what was really nice as well is to see how you don't always need that many tools. Like, they're just a nice extra, and you can make incredible pieces on a fairly minimal toolkit, which is an amazing thing about jewelry making as well.
Yes, so and I just want to add in as well one thing. Episode 1, do look out for a special helper. Jess's son comes in and starts using some tools. Well, I won't say more, but there's definitely worth having a look at that, because it's so lovely. It's really sweet to have him involved too.
Yes, absolutely. Well, he came home from school on the Jewelers Retreat day, and of course we had to get him involved. Film crew is family at the moment, so they're here a lot. So that was very sweet. And there's also, I think it's episode 2, there is another, I won't call them a helper, but there is another feature, shall we say. So there's lots of there's some interesting storylines interwoven in the different series. So each show represents a different jeweler. So we have an interview with each of the jewelers in each show as well. We're going to come on to some of the other different sections, but it's not just jewelry making, even though we love watching jewelry making. We've made it kind of quite dynamic, and it is like a TV show. It's made, that's kind of how the production is done as well, so that it's something you can sit down, like, with your friends, with your family, get the popcorn out, and just enjoy like you would any other show. And I think it's amazing to see jewelry represented in that way. there was, of course, All That Glitters, which we also loved, which was an amazing show. And it's sad to see that that's kind of discontinued now. But hopefully, our vibe is a little bit different.
I was just going to say that our vibe is different, because I remember when we were way back talking about this originally, and we just felt like the idea of it being a competition, like one jeweler against another jeweler, which, all of these companies, Bake Off and All That Glitters, and that's what they're all about. And it's not really our vibe. We want people to kind of shine in what they do. So there are little awards. Again, that's you'll see those as at the end of each episode, that are awarded to each jeweler. But it's not about competition. In some ways, it's a race against the clock more than anything, isn't it? Like, if there's a competitive element, it's against the clock. Always.
Yeah, that's the stress. That's where the stress comes from. It's the timing. Especially this season, because they're making such intricate things, and there just isn't that many hours in order to do it. But I think what's quite nice about the timings is showing what is achievable in that time realistically. And in this season, we let the jewelers pre-make some little elements. Not all of them chose to, but for example, if they were making 2 rings, an engagement ring and a wedding ring, and they had 5 or 6 settings, it's like, just make up the ring blanks first so that you've got some of the time available. So I think it's quite useful for people to see what is achievable in that time. And actually, jewelry making can't be rushed, especially things like stone setting. You need to take your time. You need to feel relaxed. So everything didn't go 100% to plan.
It's not always relaxing when you've got a film crew and other people next to you, and you're on edge anyway. They did an amazing job, like absolutely brilliant. And of course, there's you stopping them every now and then, asking them what they're doing. So kind of, they don't always have like 5 hours or whatever, like sets, without any breaks or anything in between. So that, I think that makes it interesting. But I also think what's good about that is, not so much jewelers. So many of us who have made jewelry will know, but a lot of people just have no concept of how long it takes to make something, particularly something high end and fine jewelry like we're seeing in this particular season. We saw in both seasons really, but I think that is another thing that's great, just to see how long does it take to make one piece of beautiful jewelry, and I think that helps to show why does it have such value.
Absolutely. A lot of these pieces really needed 3 days to make it, if we're being honest. So I think that is a really important thing. So make sure you show it to your non-jeweler friends, so they can start to see what is involved, what we go through with making these pieces. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got the process. We've got the different styles, we've got the tools. So number 4, the next thing that is a real reason you're not going to want to miss it, is there are lots of tips. So there are jewelry making tips in every episode. So each episode there is a mentor. So those of you that know about our diploma programs will know that we assign every student a mentor. So you are guided through the program by your mentor. You meet with them regularly online. They mark your work. All sorts of good stuff happens with these mentors, and they're incredible people who have gone before us and are advanced at their jewelry making and share that knowledge with us. And so we have a mentor on hand each day that is helping the students through the whole ordeal, shall we say. And they do a tip for us. So in each episode there is a tip that is filmed that's kind of a little bit separate from the other making process, and that's going to be really helpful for jewelers because you will learn something. And some of the tips you may already know if you're quite advanced, and some of them you may not be ready for if you're brand new, but I think it's wonderful to kind of see these bits of information come across in the show as well. And then Anna, do you want to tell about the business tips as well?
Yes, when you watch the episodes you will see us, Jess and I, doing a business tip each episode as well, because I think when we think about some of the kind of more traditional jewelry training, business is often just completely left off the table, and we know how important it is, and that's on lots of, like, all arts degrees, as far as I can see. You know, it's not really a kind of a core part of the curriculum, and it is for all of our diplomas. It is an important part of the curriculum. So we do have some business tips, particularly more for the kind of high end things around pricing and how do we do all of that kind of stuff. So it's all around starting and running a business. So hopefully you will find those tips helpful too.
Yes, absolutely. So you packed lots into an episode. You've got your business tip, your making tip, watching these pieces being made, learning from the mentors, because there's kind of other little tips that are embedded throughout. There's like a formal, this is the tip, but then there's also the mentors are helping the jewelers. I'm just going around chatting to people. So there's a lot going on, but it kind of makes it interesting, and kind of there's a flow to it. We also haven't mentioned the outros. The famous outros. So when we first filmed the Jewelers Retreat, I don't know where this came from, but we had this idea to do these kind of different outros. So last time, one was in a hot tub. We all got in the hot tub. It was a whole thing. There are a few other different endings as well. You have to go and watch it to find them out. And this time, of course, we have the 3 outros as well. I won't reveal anything about the outros. They didn't all go to plan, but I would just say look out for them. Look out.
Yeah, it was a funny thing, wasn't it? Because we were filming in the summer, and in the first filming, we basically filmed during a heat wave, and it was really like super hot the whole time. And I was kind of expecting that again, because it was filming around a similar kind of time. And we didn't get as lucky with it would have been nice not to be quite that hot, but we didn't get quite as lucky with the weather, which meant that filming kind of like the end of the episode wasn't always as easy with the ideas that we had. But it looks fun. I love
we made it happen. We made it happen one way or another. Yeah, it was incredibly windy. We didn't have the best summer this year. I don't know if anyone remembers, but June, July, August, it wasn't really sunny. So yeah, you can look out for the outros and let us know what your favorite one is. We like to have a bit of fun as well, especially after the jewelers have been, making and being very intensely looking at something all day. It's nice to kind of get out and enjoy ourselves.
Yes, and also because it is a retreat right by the seaside, which is lovely. So it's nice to, as you say, to be able to get out and kind of enjoy the environment there.
Absolutely, yes. So that brings us on to number 5. And I may have a kind of bonus one, but it kind of just brings them all together. So number 5 is the jewelers themselves and learning about their different kind of backstories. And I think what's really lovely about this is they have such different backgrounds, and, they have different working lives, different family lives, different everything. And, sometimes we can feel like, I can't do that because, I can't run this business because of, I've got young children, or I can't do this because of my job, or I can't do this because of my income. And I think what really helps break through that fear, really, which is what it usually is seeing other people who are doing it, and not necessarily saying, look, it's easy, just do it, but saying it is possible if it's something you want and you care about, and you don't need to feel like you are excluded from this.
I love that, because I think one thing, I think maybe at Jewelers Academy we take for granted, because that's why we exist a little bit. But in the past, to be at this level of jewelry making would be super hard without leaving school at 18 and going and doing a degree and spending that 3 years specifically, or probably longer, to train. And for a lot of people who haven't done that, they're like, well, I can't just give up my life. I can't stop paying the mortgage. I can't do all of those kinds of things. And that's what I quite love about this, is that you've got somebody who works full time in a super successful job and kind of took on jewelry making as a hobby and just loved it. One person who'd very much been doing jewelry and selling, and very super successful at selling, and wanted to kind of elevate their skills. one person who's got, you know, a young son, and kind of her story was interesting, and I just encourage you to watch the episode to hear a little bit more about Kate's story and how she came to where she was. And I think without something like Jewelers Academy, which I do think is unique in the level that you learn, the support that you get, and the fact that you can do it, you know, between your work or you're caring for people or whatever you're doing. I think it's really inspiring to see those stories.
Absolutely. And it actually brings it on really nicely to my kind of final point, which is a bonus one. But I guess I was thinking, like, why do we create the retreat? Like, why have we, because we obviously invest a lot in it. It doesn't directly give us any income. It takes a lot of our time, all of these kind of things. And of course, because we love doing it and it's great fun and it's nice to meet the jewelers and all those kind of things. But really why we do it for the community, I think, is to inspire, you know, because whatever we consume is what kind of directs our thinking. So if we're watching, you know, whatever on Netflix all the time, there's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, I think if you watch something creative, it sparks those creative juices. And jewelry isn't that well represented on TV. It's not something that people are always watching. And, you know, even with the jewelry show that was on TV, only 2 seasons and then it's gone, whereas something like Bake Off is gone forever, which is amazing as well. And even Sewing Bee and things like that have had many more seasons. So it is quite unique to find something that you can watch that will help reignite that passion within you for what you're doing, and hopefully help motivate you to keep going, and remind you that you're part of a bigger community and you're not alone on this journey. And there are people all over the world. That's why I start the intro all across the globe. It's kind of a running joke for us because we've heard that intro so many times, because when you're on the YouTube channel, Jewelers Academy YouTube channel, it starts all across the globe. So every time we have a meeting about YouTube, which is every week, we hear it and I have to be like, oh, sorry, mute. And that was in the trailer last year and it's in the trailer this year. But the reason why is because people all over the world are doing this. And that's a great thing. That's not about saying it's saturated or there's competition. It's about saying there are people on this journey and you're not alone. And normally when we get jewelers together, they love spending time together, because actually, although we're so different, we come from different backgrounds, there's such similarity in our love of making, in our love of tools, in our love of the design process. There's always that synergy that kind of comes with it all. So that's
that's just so true. And I mean, as you say, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of work. There's lots of people behind the scenes, the amazing film crew and sound guys, and everyone, you know, it was fantastic, and it's so lovely to be able to now kind of put it out in the world, well, nearly time, and to share that with people, and we really hope that you do find it so inspiring.
Absolutely. And I think this is a good opportunity to do a little shout out to, yes, the film crew, who did an amazing job. They're only a small crew, small and young crew, and they work really hard to get the episodes kind of to the production level that they are. Also, the incredible Karen Young, who's done our photography, big shout out to her, and Anelia Caprina, who's done our renders. So if you watched last time and if you watch this time, you'll see there are renders, which are kind of drawings of the jewelry that the jewelers are going to make. So that all takes quite a lot of time and is a wonderful skill. So definitely look out for those, and a big shout out to Anelia for that. She is a very talented lady. And also a special shout out to Anna, because when we filmed it, she was super poorly. She was very unwell. So she flew from Edinburgh to my house, which, you know, took a bit of time. And then when she got here, bless her, was really unwell almost the whole time, but still kind of managed to help us. And, you know, through those sort of 4 or 5 intense days, and then came on camera and did her bit at the end. So
I know, and we did our business tips in one take. Like, I'm just going to say that now because that's like unheard of. We were like, yes, done, done, done. Yeah, it was a shame after, you know, months of working on it and all of that, and 2 years since the last one, and then you know, it just so happened that it was not the best time for me, and I wasn't able to be in as much as I wanted to be, but I am in every episode, so hooray.
you are, you are.
Still be a part of it.
You are very much an integral part of it. So yeah, thank you for, you know, for all your work as well. So yeah, so basically go watch it, guys, because you know it's awesome. It's gonna be awesome for you, and we can't wait to see what you think and hear your kind of feedback. And you know, if you want us to ever do it again, you've got to watch this one. Although it's quite funny because I remember saying to the jewelers at some point, we're never doing this again. And then I think it was a couple of weeks later, they were like, so you're going to do another one, Jess? I was like, maybe. So it's one of those things, in the moment, you're like, no, never again. And then you're like, oh, maybe. So yeah, but it has been wonderful. And I hope you guys really enjoy it. I hope you learn something from it. I hope you get inspired. I hope it takes you into the new year with that kind of fresh energy and encouragement that what we do is a really incredible thing. And it's, you know, I think that people who make jewelry are amazing because they are talented craftspeople and artists and designers, but also incredible with people because we're dealing with customers a lot. And just thinking of all the people over Christmas who are going to be getting your wonderful jewelry as gifts, and what a joy that's going to bring to them as well. So yeah, we can't wait. The first episode is this Wednesday, 8 p.m. Please join us for the premiere on our YouTube channel. It's Jewelers Academy YouTube channel. We will put a link in the show notes so that you can come along. Join us like 5 minutes or so before. We will be live in the chat, so you'll be able to talk to us and let us know how you're going as you're watching it. We'll also be giving away a few little prizes for people who are active on the live. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to watch it together as a community. And then it is every Wednesday for 3 weeks. So the first one's this Wednesday, the 13th of December. Then there's one on the 20th of December and the 27th. So we take you all the way through the festive period. And after each episode, I'll be going live with one of the jewelers. So you can come and chat to them and me on Instagram as well. And Anna, thank you so much for coming and sharing about the retreat. Are there any final bits you want to say before we wrap up?
No, I think you said everything. I just think, yeah, if you are listening to this podcast before it has come out, do pop on over to the YouTube channel and kind of sign up for the premiere, because that really helps boost the number of people that YouTube show it to, because we really want to kind of get lots of different creative people. We're all creative people, to hear about it. So that would be brilliant. And yeah, we just really hope that you enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely. Well, thank you guys for listening, and join me next week on the podcast when I'll be interviewing all 3 of the jewelers from the Jewelers Retreat. But until then, take care, Anna. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.